Now, the recent war on Gaza has changed some of the dynamics in the region. Some of the regional powers are now sharing tables. The infamous foes, Iran and Saudi Arabia, will be joining tables in the OIC meet. Now, President Raisi of Iran will visit Saudi Arabia. More in this report.
War is the biggest divider, but can also be the biggest unifier. Israel and Gaza are witnessing their worst conflict ever. Tensions run high, the air is charged. There's not only a fear of a spillover of the conflict, but also a greater diplomatic opportunity on the horizon. This week, West Asia will see unprecedented decades-long enemies with only recently normalized ties sharing the same table. Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi is visiting the Saudi capital, the first Iranian leader to set foot on Arabian soil in years. In Riyadh, he will take part in an extraordinary OIC meet at which leaders of all Muslim countries will discuss the crisis in Gaza and the Palestinian suffering at the hands of Israel. The two leaders had even spoken over the phone shortly after Israel declared a siege on Gaza. In an unprecedented truce brokered by China 7 years after severing bilateral relations, Saudi Arabia and Iran, the region's Sunni and Shia heavyweights, buried the hatchet in March and agreed to restore diplomatic relations. There's still no indication if Raisi will have talks with Saudi Crown Prince MBS. Some Saudi reports have, however, ruled out the possibility. The OIC meeting comes at a time when regional powers are engaging in hectic diplomatic efforts to convince Hamas and Israel to contain their war and prevent it from spilling across borders and sucking in neighboring nations. Western officials, meanwhile, gathered in the French capital to discuss aid to besieged Gaza. Representatives from the EU, US, UN and Arab nations, as well as several non-profit groups working in Gaza, are attending the Paris gathering. They aim to provide more support to Gaza in the form of floated field hospitals and even a maritime humanitarian corridor.
Civilians must be protected, and this is absolutely essential and non-negotiable. In the immediate term, we need to work to promote civilians. To do this, we need a rapid humanitarian pause, and we need to work towards a ceasefire.
More than 1.5 million people, or about 70% of Gaza's population, has been internally displaced. Scenes similar to the Nakba are emerging as thousands of Palestinians leave northern Gaza by foot. Agencies say an estimated $1.2 billion is needed to respond to the crisis in the Palestinian territory. That excludes the cost of rebuilding the enclave. All conferences and meetings have been calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, making fervent appeals that Israel has been ignoring. Meanwhile, there are reports of Qatar negotiating the release of a dozen more hostages soon. Be it the OIC meet or the Paris gathering, no diplomatic effort would have succeeded until Israel stops its ruthless and barbaric bombing of Gaza and Hamas releases all hostages.